Hi, everyone. I'm Thérèse, and this is New York Girl Again, The After, the podcast for caregivers who survived the hardest chapter of their lives and are now gathering the courage and the strength to write the next one. Thank you for being here with me. Today's episode is about something that is truly very simple, but holds unimaginable power. I'm talking about the hug. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Hugs? Why is she talking about hugs? But I'm talking about a specific kind of hug. Not a romantic hug, although those are wonderful. Not an obligatory, often awkward 2-second grief hug, the kind that usually comes with a stiff, "I'm sorry for your loss." No, I'm talking about that moment of physical connection, warmth, and safety. That moment when tension you've been holding so tightly in your body releases, when your shoulders drop, your chest softens, and your soul exhales. A hug that can quite literally change your biology, soothe your psyche, and remind you you are not alone. I'm talking about those hugs that acknowledge you, hugs that transfer power into you. As caregivers, we gave so many of those hugs. We soothed, we comforted, we held. But who hugged us? And why is it more important than ever to receive and even give those kinds of hugs in the after of caregiving? Hugs are actually a fascinating and well-studied aspect of human psychology and physiology. So let's take a look at the science to find out exactly why hugs are so incredibly powerful. It's been discovered that when you hug someone for at least 20 seconds, it creates the ideal condition for releasing the powerful hormone oxytocin and unleashing all of its health benefits. That's because it takes a few seconds for your body to register and process the hug, and for your brain to start releasing those feel-good hormones. We've talked about oxytocin in previous episodes. It's a hormone and neurotransmitter produced in the hypothalamus and released by the pituitary gland. And it goes by many nicknames. Probably the most well-known is the love hormone, because oxytocin plays a key role in all kinds of love, from romantic attraction and parent-infant bonding to feelings of affection, connection, and trust between friends. It's also known as the cuddle hormone or the bonding hormone. Both of these highlight its role in creating and maintaining strong emotional connections. It's the neurochemical glue that helps us form lasting attachments. And it's not just human to human. The oxytocin-mediated bond between humans and dogs is one of the most powerful examples of interspecies love. It's often described as a positive feedback loop that mirrors the parent-child relationship. When you and your dog interact in a loving way, through petting, playing, or especially mutual gazing, you both release oxytocin. It creates a cycle of affection that deepens your bond. So what exactly do long hugs do to our mind and body? The first is they promote stress reduction. One of the most significant effects of oxytocin is its ability to lower levels of cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone. A hug acts as a signal of safety and support, telling your brain to calm down and dial back the fight or flight response. This leads to a lower heart rate and blood pressure, leaving you feeling more relaxed, grounded, and soothed. Second, They increase feelings of trust and bonding. Oxytocin is the glue that binds us together emotionally. When released during a hug, it strengthens feelings of connection and trust with the person you're embracing. That's why hugs are so effective at resolving conflict or conveying comfort, sympathy, admiration, respect, gratitude, or understanding without a single word. It solidifies the emotional bond between people. Third, they improve mood and well-being. The release of oxytocin, along with serotonin and dopamine, the brain's feel-good hormones, contributes to happiness and emotional stability. Studies have shown hugs can lift your mood on even the most difficult days, and that frequent physical affection is linked to greater psychological well-being. And then there are the physical health benefits. Oxytocin's effects go beyond emotion. It supports physical healing as well. As mentioned earlier, it lowers blood pressure and calms your heart rate. It strengthens your immune system because reducing stress strengthens your body's defense mechanisms. In one 2015 study published in Psychological Science, researchers found that people who received more hugs were less likely to get sick. And when they did, their symptoms were less severe. Think about that. A hug is immunity, a literal buffer against illness. Hugs provide pain relief. Oxytocin also has pain-relieving properties. That's why a hug can ease the pain of an injury, both physical and emotional. Our bodies store so much stress, so much tension. A safe, loving embrace can begin to unfreeze that pain. In moments of deep grief and suffering, a hug doesn't just comfort, it releases pain from the body. It's a biological balm for suffering. Psychologists even use the term co-regulation, the idea that two nervous systems can regulate each other through touch. A hug can quite literally bring someone out of a panic state and back into safety. For a caregiver whose system has been in a constant state of high alert, the physical act of a real, grounding hug can be a powerful release valve. So let's talk about the caregiver's drought. During our caregiving years, we were the ones always giving the hugs. We wrapped our arms around our loved one's fragility while our own hearts were breaking. We transferred our energy into them, hoping, sometimes desperately, that it might somehow magically heal them. But when our caregiving journey ends and our loved ones are gone, we're faced with something that hits deeper than we ever expected. There's no one to hold. But even more critically, there's no one holding us. I think that's another layer of grief that's never really talked about. The absence of touch in the after. It can lead to depression. It can lead to anxiety, insomnia, even chronic illness. And yet, most former caregivers don't even realize they're touch-starved until a hug finally comes and they feel the weight of it hit. I remember it myself. I remember it vividly. So much so that it left a permanent mark on my memory. It's the reason I felt this episode needed to be created. Because I know I'm not the only one who has gone through this. You may remember from previous episodes, my dad was the final leg of my 25-year caregiving journey. We were entering the second year of COVID when he passed, so people were still social distancing. Not many people came to my dad's funeral because of that. So I don't even remember being on the receiving end of those obligatory sorry for your loss hugs. That first year after my dad died, I was at the lowest point of my life. I remember 3 specific occasions that year where I was struggling, really struggling. And every single time, it was my sweet little rescue chihuahua, Coco, who sensed it. She was part of what I call my after pack, one of 4 fur babies I had at the time. Coco was different. She would wake from a sound sleep, jump into my lap, lay on my chest, and wrap her front paws around my neck like she knew. She would look into my eyes and give me the most human, healing hug a dog could give. None of my other dogs did that. They were more your typical terrier personalities, loving but fiercely independent. But Coco, she was a little angel in fur. Have you ever had a dog like that? Your heart dog? A little human in fur? She passed a year and 8 months ago, and to this day, I remember how those hugs sustained me. Then about a year after he passed, I had a visit with my primary care physician. I was still spontaneously breaking down into tears. And I remember, without saying a word, she just walked over and hugged me. A real hug, heart pressed to heart. I remember how good it felt, but still not grasping the full reason why. Then, just a few days later, another hug came, serendipitously. There was a pastor at my local church who had been assigned to our parish just 9 months after my dad died. After attending a few of his masses, I thought, oh, how my dad would have adored him. But more than that, I recognized something else, that he was one of us. We caregivers can always spot each other, can't we? The ones with the softest hearts, the ones who carry the weight no one sees, the ones who pour themselves out for others, often at great personal cost. He gave his heart to every single parishioner, and to community members too, the extent of which wasn't always recognized or appreciated by others. But I saw it. I recognized that selflessness because I had lived it. As someone who had little to no support during my caregiving journey, it broke my heart to see anyone else in that space, giving so much without being seen. So I would send him little gifts or tokens of appreciation, just to let him know he was valued and to provide just a little bit of support to help keep him going on his mission. After Mass, I had another small kindness to give him before jumping in my car. So I waited, a bit impatiently, on the usual very long line of well-wishing parishioners. And when it was my turn to greet him, I remember how caught off guard I was when he just opened his arms and gave me the biggest, most sincere bear hug. It was so unexpected. And again, it felt so good. That evening, I texted a longtime friend in California, someone who knew exactly what I had been through all these years. And I told her, I was hugged twice this week by 2 amazing people. And I realized I haven't been hugged like that in years. She replied, what a happier place this world would be if we all just hugged each other more. And I couldn't have agreed more. Sadly, I no longer see that pastor, as I no longer attend that church, a choice I made with a caregiver's heart that had to learn its own limits. But that's a conversation for a different episode and a whole chapter in my book coming this winter. Still, the healing hugs haven't stopped. Most recently, They've come from my amazing ballroom dance instructors. The hugs of encouragement, the hugs that comfort when fear and doubt in my abilities rise up. The hugs that say, "You're doing hard things. I see you, and I'm proud of you." So where do we go from here? First, we honor the truth. We need touch. We deserve it. And second, we begin to gently rebuild that connection with others, and yes, even with ourselves. Here are a few simple, embracing practices that can help get your oxytocin flowing again. First, hug yourself. I know, it sounds silly, but it's not. Studies have shown that wrapping your own arms around your body and breathing deeply while saying, "I've got you," can activate self-soothing pathways in your brain. Try it when you first wake up in bed. Let it become a morning ritual. Then there are weighted blankets. These simulate deep pressure touch and are scientifically proven to reduce anxiety and help with sleep quality. It's like a hug you can return to anytime. Then just ask for a hug. Yes, it feels vulnerable, but saying, "I could really use a hug right now," to someone you trust, a friend, a family member, your doctor, your pastor, can begin to bridge the gap that isolation created. Then there's therapeutic touch. Massage therapy is a safe, healing way to bring touch back into your life. Lastly, and my favorite, pet therapy. Hug your dog. Cuddle your cat. Your nervous system doesn't care whether the hug comes from fur or flesh, only that it's real. If you've been feeling unseen, untouched, or emotionally brittle, please hear me when I say this. You are not broken. You are human, and humans are wired for connection. Your arms gave so much love. It's okay to ask for love in return, to crave embrace, to seek softness after years of sacrifice. So today, whether with someone else or with yourself, give yourself permission to be held, because you were never meant to carry it all alone. I'm Thérèse, and this is New York Girl Again, The After. Until next time, may you be surrounded by the kind of love that doesn't flinch, the kind of touch that heals, and the kind of hug that says, "You matter too."